Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to what seems like days away since the last one. That's right, folks, this is the SRL Season 9 TCR League Preview Series of races. Tonight is the first of those triple headers coming live tonight for the first time this season. From Oulton Park without the chicanes, so be prepared for drafting, thrill-seeking, strategy, just generally good all-round racing. I think can be expected from everybody tonight. As can be expected, we do not have any classes as such on track. So this is more formulating how the season looks for the drivers and where to position drivers from those that turn up. Lots of new faces, lots of names that I have to pronounce correctly. We've got 26 to 27 drivers currently in the session with just under half an hour to go of the practice session. The preview races will form the basis of the whole season, of how the night looks for the layout of the racing as such. We have a half hour's worth of practice and 10 minutes open qualifying. It's a new change for the season compared to season 8, followed by two races, one of 20 minutes and then one of 25 minutes with a reverse 10 to 15 depending on how many people are racing. But one of the big things about this especially tonight, obviously, is to formulate who is quick, who needs to be in what division, whether there be a pro-am, an am, or whether there needs to be 4 divisions, depending on how many people go. There's been a whopping almost 60 drivers have registered for the season in what is truly TCR racing is coming home on a Friday night. And going to be making it exciting if that many drivers turn up every week with the biggest TCR league on iRacing. Now that's a dream, that is, if that can come to fruition. But looking now at a list of names, we've got some fast drivers taken to the track. You've got your familiar faces like Dan Mould, John Brown, Stuart Gibbons, Dick Crowther, a few of the old classics. And then we've got some of the new blood, a new breed coming into the season of Rock Kopser, Marjan Koderman. Kim Andre Bjorklund returns to the SRL scene after a few seasons away from any TCR series. It was lots on a Friday night. Sydney Hards is another new name to see there on the list. We've got a few Norwegians as well. We've got Kim Andre Bjorklund of Torbjørn Mare and Vigard Olsen Lear. I will butcher some surnames tonight. I'm very, very sorry. We've got an Argentinian, South American influence coming into the league with Nahuel Azperu. And so it'll be just to see how they do. We've got a rich heritage of TCR racing, especially in the officials. Just essentially ticking along. So we're not much is going to go on. We'll just let the kind of time tick along and let everyone settle into their routine. But with Oulton Park, there's always something going on. Tricky track to overtake on, tricky track to work out. But what we're going to do, we're going to jump on board with Dan Mould, one of the SRL admins and league organisers, for what a lap of the season of Oulton Park looks like in its entirety. 12 corners at Oulton Park. So this is one without the chicane, so we're going to make do without his lops and Britons, which makes the run down from Shell Oil's corner and that exit from turn 5, which is the Shell Oil's corner, massively imperative to get right. Because if you lose speed all the way down that straight, you are suffering, especially into Knickerbrook, which can be an overtaking spot if you get a good run. But let's join up with Dan Mould here as he comes over the line to start a flying lap in his Hyundai Veloster. Turn 1 is Old Hall Corner, which leads into the avenue, which then runs down into the Cascades, which is turns 1, 2, and 3. Little kink here, which is Denton's, and then turn 3 to Cascades. Tricky left-hander. Feels like it should be off camber, especially on the exit. Use as much as you dare these days. It's lovely remodelled Oulton Park that iRacing have put out recently. Into turn 4, the island bends, little lift. If you're brave, you might want to flat it out, but you've got to get the line right into this corner, Shell Oil's corner, which is probably the most important corner on the entire track tonight. And then the run down the start-finish line here Sorry, the run down the back straight here, which is Hilltop, 5 and 6. This is 6, a little kick there. And then you are at full throttle in 5th gear, all the way down this long straight. The 300 board flashes by, then the 2, then the 1, then into Knickerbrook, turn 7, clip the curb on the inside, run wide, but not too wide so you get the off track. That's a beautiful line through there. There's a bit of traffic go there. Then you'll run up the left-handers of 8 and 9 of Clay Hill and Water Tower into turn 10 of Druids Corner. A little flick through there, wonderfully done. Tricky one to get right. Treat it as one long right-hander. Almost miss the first one and go for the second apex. Over the Warwick Bridge and into turn 11, Lodge Corner. And one of the favourite names of any corner on any track is Deer Leap. Turn 12, which is this one here. There's a little kick to the left. Keep it left as you're going to hold on to the left side for Old Hall Corner for the start of a new lap and a new battle round this wonderful Oulton Park layout here in Cheshire, England. And if you're wondering what that lap actually kind of looks like, let's bring it up for you on track now. There we go. This is the one without the chicane. This is preview night 1. The track temperature's been set to a nice cool 20, or air temperature 20 degrees. I think the track temperature is probably about 22, 23 degrees. And we see a cargo destroying itself into the barriers there. I'm not sure who that actually was. But that's what happens when you get the island bend wrong. You've got partly cloudy, 68% humidity, and a 14 km/h wind. So that's a bit of an interesting wind that's going to rear itself in certain corners of the track, and it is coming from an easterly direction, which means the cars coming down the Hilltop Straight will have a tailwind, which will make it very interesting in the braking zones and the drafting down there into Knickerbrook. Let's have a look at the mix of cars we've got. We've got quite a few Hondas, Civics, a few Audis on there, a couple of Elantras, and a few Velosters as well. So a decent spread of cars. There's one of the Audis of Dan Lewis. Another one there. I have to recognise some of his liveries as someone just gets it wrong on the braking and off into the track of the fun sim racing car there. I have to keep many eyes open on many screens here just to keep an eye on the timings as people work out where's what. Let's have a look at a few names that we've got taken to the track tonight. A few new Brits. We've got Fiona Siddons, Jeff Saunders, Zachary Sorchuk, Daniel Downing, Craig Charles, Ryan Stringer is out on track as well. Returning names of Fraser Garrity and Scott Malcolm, and new names of Sydney Hards and Carl Hardy taken to the SRL layout. The cars wing their way around Island Bend, looking very quick. Work guard car. Just letting the guys through. There's the red liveried 62 of Dan Mould. Unusual. Do you know what? I thought it was in a Honda Veloster. Got it completely wrong. Hyundai Veloster, sorry. He's in a Honda Civic. That's a rare one for Dan Mould. Taken to the OP car, as some might say, in order for him to have a chance of winning. First time for everything. Got a little under 20 minutes to go until the end of his practice session, then we go straight into the 10-minute quali. As usual, we'll be blessed with the roof camera on boards, so we can, every car will have this on board so you can easily see what's going on. Seeing action around you and in front, who's behind, no one. Side-by-side action as always as well. That's on every car, so as long as we get the good action and the good race direction from our director, everyone will be laughing, they say. Okay, let's just bring up some bits and bobs. So we're going to pop into... We've prepared some more angles. So we've got turn 1, for example, so we'll be able to follow the cars through the track on our static camera, should we desire it. So let's have a look. There's a car leaving pit lane there. be able to follow them down through the avenue and cascades. Let's have a look. Here we go. Down through the cascades. These are static cameras. Our team has lovingly prepared for us for this race tonight. And hopefully we'll be able to see some more of that as the season progresses. Island bend into shed oils. We'll definitely be using this for the first lap. And that's where the action will certainly be. Through hairpin, where the British chicane would normally be. We got camera positioned off to the side, so it'll go whizzing by there. But our camera can do that. If the cars aren't going too fast. And you've got his up one as they whiz by there. And Nicky Brook straight across the curve there. And you've got the run up Clay Hill and Water Tower. Some good air time potentially there between the cars. Then Dingledale and Druids. I don't know if they call it Dingledale anymore around here. But down to the Brands Hatch one. I think they're more revert out to the bikes one. But you've got the run down to the penultimate corner, which is Lodge Corner. Tricky right-hander that one. And then Deer Leap, the final corner. Right on the cusp of the camera there. There's a turn one action again. We have our gyro camera back in the mix as well for you all. Car's getting some heat in the tyres there. So plenty of new views coming along for you all this season. Plenty of new look to the imagery. We also have our drone camera, which won't always show the right parts of the track we need it to. We will try and pick that up at some point as well. So hopefully we can give you all the best onboards, the best viewpoints of the season ahead, and to be what is expected for some of the tracks as well, that we can get our camera teams to make it look the best broadcast possible. Normally the races aren't broadcast live, it will be done in post-production after, so we'll be able to obviously get as many people on track and basically get you a nice presentation for the following week ready to go. Let's see if our drone can pick up this group of three, which is looking like Mould, Walters and Hardy, possibly. There's the drone cam. This is picking it up in Shell Oils and Ireland. There we go. To be honest, I can't actually see any chat. That might be open. Nah, no one's chatting. That's all right. If you do chats with the stream, I will try and interact with it if I can see it. But I've just noticed it's vanished off one of my screens, so I need to go and find that. Because why not? Docs, chats, there we go. Here we go. It's open in the top right there. Boom. Winner, winner, chicken dinner, as some people will say. Not that you guys can see it. Greg Walters desperately trying to keep on the back of Dan Mould. So take us some early runners and riders. Dan Mould setting the pace with a 33.9, the only guy in the 33s. Rock Kirpser. Copser. I did do some research on how to pronounce some of his names, and clearly you haven't taken it in to its fullest extent. Is second with a 34.14 and just 100th a second behind him. It's Kim Andre Bjorkland. Marjan Kodeman is 34.19, that's 400ths back from Bjorkland. Then we've got a British posse of Dan Lewis, Carl Hardy, Don Brown and Craig Walters, all within 0.2 of a second back from Lewis, who's at a 34.2. Then we've got Edo Kirpser, 34.51. Stuart Gibbons, Sidney Hards, they're within 100ths of a second as well, along with Ura Larkin, he's another 100th behind Sidney Hards on 34.57. Dave Crowther's 400ths behind him with 34.61, tied with Fraser Geraghty. Good to see Fraser back in the action as well. Torbjorn Marley is 34.78, 10th back there with Scott Malcolm 34.8, 10th from there. Vigardos Leo, another Norwegian 35 flat with Augustus Sabalenskis. I think that's Slovenian. Pardon me if that's wrong. I might be very, very wrong. 35.23 and very insulting, possibly. Craig Charles, straight out of Red Dwarf, is there with 35.26. Bad pun, I know. Fiona Siddons, 35.37, 10th down there. Chris Barnes, 100th behind Fiona on 35.38. Jeff Saunders is 35.4. In this practice, it's still practice, it's not relative to anything, it's not quality, but the times are there. And Demi TCR is on the board for 35.36, and he'll just come out himself on practice. So it's all hotting up very quickly with the times. We've got Chris Barnes, we've done Chris Barnes, Zachary Solchuk, 35.4, Ryan Stringer, 35.5, Daniel Downing, 35.6, and he just improved his time to 35.2. So it's a very close field. I mean, from first to 26th place at set times, and Nahul as Peru just gets on over 35 now on. So basically, from first to 27th on the grid, or practice grid, we are at 2 seconds difference, and time will come down. Most people it's between 1.5, which is a wonderful spread of drivers at 27 on track right now. Just realised I've left the. That's just a bit live. Apologies. I'm waffling away to myself as usual. Who we got on track? Let's look at some of the Lowlands. Marjan Kodeman, frequent visitor to the officials. He's out there in his Honda, running there 34.19 with a gaggle of cars to negotiate ahead of him. So one for quality, it's going to come thick and fast. With it being open quality as well. It's going to be interesting to see if anyone forms a partnership to get a bit of draft down at home for the straight. Again, there's no groupings, there's no team orders, there's no loyalties in this early part of this preview races, so no one's really obliged to stick together as a team. There's no classes, so it's every person for themselves out there on track. I'm also hoping our start lights work tonight. I've been trying to get away with coding it into the thing. It doesn't always play ball, unfortunately, so I'll have to keep an eye on that, whether it comes up before the start of the race. Otherwise, we'll just have to stick with the green means go start of the events. Let's have a look at some names creeping around. People improving. Just after we get a chance to do a live broadcast for the SRL, normally myself is racing in this event, and I probably will do next week or the final preview week as we go. Brands Hatch is always a good track of mine, so that's probably one we'll see myself at. It's always good to highlight how good the SRL is and get a good broadcast out there for you all to look back on and say, yes, that's me, I'm a part of that magnificent league, as we see a wonderfully drifting Audi. Unfortunately, the McDonald's car park is the other way there, number 69, Ado Kirpser. That kind of drifting is very much reserved for those car parks. We are in the Discord with everyone else. I say everyone else with our own, so we may see a couple of the other guys just pop in and have a chin wag. Depending on how the race goes, we may even see some interviews towards the end of the race as well. I'm not expecting to do that, to be quite honest. As we stand. Just some of the directness of some of the messages sometimes that you get people saying. Right, just make sure everything's set up correctly. We're looking pretty good. There's your rules. You can probably see it very much. Instant count is set at 17, but a drive through every 5, and then an instant DQ at 30x. It does say open setups. I'm not sure if that's a thing because I can't see it. So it could make things a little interesting. I'm pretty normally it's a fixed league instead of league. So the league we have a race set up which is specific to the longer race. There's a slightly shorter one, and then also a specific one for the qualifying. And it's based off the fixed setup. It's pretty close to it, if not exactly the same. Just some fuel differences on there. And I'm just checking out. We've got 8 minutes and 45 remaining. Apologies for the on-screen stuff as I just flick around, just trying to make sure I've got everything set up correctly. But I think we're pretty much good from there. Dan Mole just putting some messages in there in the chat, just so people get themselves acquainted with everything to go on. Okay, shall we jump on board someone else? Let's have a look at Torbjorn. Down into Cascades. Third gear, running close to the curve as he dares. Beautiful bit of lighting through this section here into Island Bend. Turn 4 of the track. This corner's one of those corners. Do you dare send it on the inside into Shell Oils? It's this one here. But you need a good run into Shell Oils. If you get slow on exit, you are losing that pace all the way down the straight. As he is very, very close to the car behind. Now, I'm just wondering if I can make that a little bit clearer for you all. On the track header, so you can see when the person is. I don't think so. So if it's a stripe that changes colour, so it won't let me potentially do that. Okay, something to think about for next time. If I can change that a little bit better, I will. Torbjorn completes his lap. Stay on board for a little bit longer. Nice tiny little lap there for Torbjorn. He does a 35.0. His best time is 34.78. He will bring his to an end. Mr. Eurolarkin in his Elantra, always worth a watch. As he comes over the line to go to the pits. Go on, boys. Demi Tigchila. Not Tiglichar, but Tigchila, as I used to say in the last season. To make sure we get it right, he goes straight to Knickerbrook, a bit of dust on the outside, someone probably going wide. Uses all of that curve and exit. It's a really nice line there through Knickerbrook. Down through Clay Hill and Water Tower. Turn 10, double apex of Druids Corner. Keep it really tight. He's going for that option there. Just clipping the curb on the exit. Nice and tidy. Don't know if it's the quickest way around there, but nice and tidy, to say the least. Into the right-hander of Lodge. And then a deer leap. Turn 12. The final turn coming up. Stay left as possible and over the line to complete his lap, which is a 35.92. So just a little bit slower than his best time, which was 34.8. There ain't got many cars out on track at the moment. We've probably got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars all out on track. I suspect they might be doing some kind of driver briefing. There's a text brief going on for everybody in the text chat there. Dan Mould issuing of the P's and Q's and crossing the I's and dotting the T's. Yes, I'm fully aware that that's not the right way that works, but it always sounds better when it's wrong. So also would Murray Walker say. So 27 drivers are taking to the qualifying grid here. I suspect it is going to be intense at the front. Looking at some runners and riders. We're looking at, say, Dan Mould looking at the best time on the board at the moment, but that middle pack from second all the way down to probably 20th place and lower is going to be intensely close. And it's going to be interesting to see how the action does work. Okay. And we are going to try and give you in-race highlights as well. So if something happens, we'll go straight to the highlights, if it lets me. So we've got 4 minutes of practice remaining. Drivers will go for their refreshments, their comfort breaks, their mentality break, just to get themselves in the right frame of mind of who can take on Oulton Park and the SRL boys of old with the SRL boys and girls of new. Because that is what's coming up very shortly. There's the pit lane, certainly full. Cars of every variety and every colour occupying that pit lane, which will make it interesting as a couple of lawnmowers are out there, making sure the grass is nicely trimmed on the off track so you can get back on easy. And that's they're not the right way to do cascades, but almost taking the Foster's layout there from Kim Andre Bjorklund. Definitely not doing the Foster's one tonight. Lovely livery there from Zachary Sorchuk in his Audi. Demi Tigchila, sorry. So looking pretty good. What we got? Nahul Isaperuid. He's in a Audi. That's a very smart livery as well. Almost Gulf Oils-esque for his goatee in his silver. Honda is out on track. We got also Leah in a Hyundai Elantra. A Hyundai Elantra. Let me try that one properly. So we've got a nice mix of cars out there. Really looking good for what's going to be happening on track. Lots of action, lots of disparity. We're going to see what cars should be faster and fixed. Probably not. It's going to be very hard to say what's faster in different pairs of hands. Damol just giving a shout out and the SRL TCR YouTube channel. This is where you can watch us now. We are live streaming. It's not often we will live stream the race as it goes. It is purely because there's no points on the table, so I don't need to race myself. But also let's get the league some extra shout out and make it live and show it off to its best extent, because that's what we're all about here on SRLTV. Thank you, Rock. Much appreciated for that like and subscribe for you, and hopefully that quickness of your subscription can be taken to the track. Certainly up there with his 34.14 time, the third fastest of the practice session. But practice is a practice, you know, it's for making the mistakes, it's learning the lap. Next up is all about qualifying and who can take the pole position for Heat 1 race, the 20-minute race, after this 10-minute quali. Open quali, so it's all about finding a gap, finding the right slipstream time and finding the right communication with everyone ahead of you. Some might say harder to negotiate, harder to navigate. As another car comes into pit lane, it is a full pit lane from everyone there. Let's jump on board with Zachary. See what laps he's getting on board there. Summer Farm Estates. That's Fiona. Thank you, Fiona, for liking and subbing to the SRLTV channel. So, as normal, this live stream is not the normal shebang. Is a post-broadcast race that we will do for the SRLTV until we can find a more competent broadcaster than myself. But this is what we're going to do for the preview races. Get a few live streams out of the way before I take to the track and cause carnage myself. Right then, folks. Are we nearly there yet? Is everyone almost going to be ready for qualifying? Pretty much 10 seconds remaining of the practice to end, which means we are going to go very shortly into qualifying. So wet your whistles, scrub your feet, get your car mats all hoovered out and cleaned, because we are going qualifying, ladies and gentlemen, any second shortly. Here we go. Interesting to see who takes the track first. It's all about getting out there quickly. There we go. The field is out. It is like a Le Mans start of old. And it's going to be interesting to see where we can join in and see what's going on. But a very civilised pit exit for the outlap. See Chris Barnes back on track. Nice to see him out there in his Blades design livery. As John Brown in the SRL green Honda. Plenty going on out there now. That's one button. Let's get the track mark up. There we go. There's our drone cameras. We watch cars round shed oils and sprint up the straight, which is Hilltop, through 6 and 7. It's all about getting some heat in the tires. Take a few laps to heat to come in for these cars. Yeah, they don't just heat up really quickly. Front wheel drive, you've really got to work them and not overheat them, because as soon as you start overheating them, they become a bit more of a challenge to get them around the corner as quick as you want. They're really sticky. And you'll see a mix of brake biases being run as well. Especially for someone like John Brown in his Honda, he'll have his brake bias probably into the 40s, knowing him. As the first lap is about to begin, what we're going to do, we're going to join into turn 1 and watch this field come through qualifying. Obviously no times on the board yet, because this is just the out lap. And here we go. Dan Mould is the first car on track in his Honda Civic. As the cars go around turn 1, down the Dentons and Cascade sequence of corners, through there nicely. You see the field coming up the Lakeside Straight towards Island Bend, which is turn 4. Won't be taking this flat out probably on the first lap, but you'll probably be taking it flat out probably that 3 or 4. I would imagine shed odds, everyone comes through there nicely. And then the fast turn 6, no name, but Hilltop is the straight. Dan Mould is certainly stretching his legs. As everyone careers round Knickerbrook. Dan Mould through Clay Hill and Water Tower. So far everyone's keeping it on track. It's been a nice clean looking outlet, but Dan Mould's actually stretched the lead here of cars on track. It looks like it's a race, but it's really not. Is it just say the outlap are qualifying? So using the clear air to his advantage of out of traffic hindering any braking zones or anything similar. He takes Lodge Corner very nicely indeed. And to get his first lap on the board with that one there. It's turn 1. Dan Mould with a 34.67 on the board. Kim Andre Bjorklund at 34.6 just to snaffle away that pole position time as the early board. Dick Crowther over 34.6. Straight to the top there by 100th of a second over Kim Andre Bjorklund. So straight away, markers being set down here by old and new alike in this TCR league. Sydney Hards, he pops in there at 34.9, so we've got 6 drivers sub 35. Wonder if we'll be expecting the time to be anywhere south of 34 into the 33s. Just really locking up there as the cars go around shed oils. It's Dan Mould looking like, was that Mould, sorry? No, it was Kim Andre Bjorklund. 2 red Hondas are going to be quite tricky to tell apart if you're not catching the number. John Brown, 35.8, didn't quite get his best time set there as Bjorklund gets out of the way. These cars run round. Oh, we've got a twitcher there. That is 69, Ido Kirpser. Bravely held on. Because if you have a big accident in qualifying in front of people, that can really ruin a few people's laps. Chris Barnes towing along. I want to say that's Dick Crowther in his Elantra. It is. I see Deck back in the Elantra. Ran a Honda last season. Pretty sure he's going to be good to be back in that Elantra as it stretches its legs over the start-finish line. It does fall off the pole position time between Dan Mould screaming to the 33s with 33.87 with Mayan Kodaban 34.22. Dan Lewis 34.41 and John Brown sneaking there 34.4. Craig Walters 34.5. The times are coming down quicker and quicker. We have Ryan Stringer, one of the newcomers there, is 34.6. So the times are certainly hotting up. Daniel Downing 34.4 Rock Copser, 34.2. They're coming in thick and fast. Let's put it that way. Will we Dan Mould with almost 4 tenths quicker at the top of the pile there? He will be keen to keep that pole position. Excuse me. Only really holds the fastest sector time in the last sector, to be honest, as Dan Mould. Last 2 sectors, 14.39 and 12.94 in the last 2 only. So making it up in the twisty areas and the braking zones. It's all about the brakes there, not necessarily the straight line speed. Andre Bjorklund is fastest in the 2nd sector. And Marianne Kodeman is fastest in the 3rd. So lots to play around with here. Let's have a look further down the list here. We have got, see, from look at 10th down, Bjork has dropped down to 10th place over 34.6. Ryan Rodriguez down to 11th. Dan Lewis almost into the 33s of 34.18. 200ths quicker than Rock Copson. Kim Bjorklund says, no, thank you very much. I'm into the 33s with a 33.9. That is 700ths slower than Dan Mould. The times are close. So it's only 10 minutes, and we have been going 7 minutes already. So this is exactly what you want to be seeing. It's going to be tight. There's Craig Walters there. He's at 34.51. So let's jump on board Kim Andre Bjorklund. See if we can see if he manages to pull something together here. Down the start-finish line. So down the back straight. That's twice I've done that tonight. No, we need a start-finish line. So currently on this last sector, he's quicker through sector 2 as the purple sector to sector 4. Knickerbrook keeping the power on early. It's very nicely done. Just watching this sector. He's slowly gaining on Ido Kerpser. It's probably going to be compromising a little bit there until we get on the throttle early. He's quick. He's gone purple in sector 5. 14.34, but bailed out. Interesting. That is interesting that he bailed out of that city. He was actually on track to go quicker. Going into that one now, was he giving himself a better run for the next lap? We shall find out. Dan Mould is still sitting at the top of the pile there with 33.87. Kim Andre Bjorklund 34.88 was his last lap over the line, so he actually went a little bit slower by a good second there. He's just back out of it though. Dan Lewis 34.18, Rock Copser 34.2, Marianne Kodeman 34.22, Daniel Danning 34.39, John Brown 34.4, Sydney Hards 34.43. In fact, he is tired of John Brown. 34.51 is Craig Walters. Stuart Gibbons 34.62 with tied with Dick Crowther. We've seen that so many times of those two who are teammates in the normal regular season. Very tightly compacted together during the qualifying session. Torbjorn Marley 34.63, Ryan Stringer 34.69, Nahil as Peru 34.72 with Augustus Sablinskis 34.75, same time as Cole Hardy 34.75, Chris Barnes 34.85, Ido Kerpser 34.89, Scott Malcolm 34.95, and the last of the 34s is Fraser Garrity 34.99. He is only 100th of a second quicker than Vigard Olsen Lear with 35 flat, with Demi Tichula at 35.04, Euro Larkin and 35.52, Zachary Zorsuk 35.53, and the last of the times with Fiona Sins of 35.76. So everyone is extremely tight in how this season, this race meeting is going. And that's it. Qualifying done just like that. Mega. Dan Mould will comfortably, hopefully, sit the pole there. As we bring you the grid, and hopefully they don't get going very quickly. But we're going to get rattle through this now for your grid for race 1 of the heat race. Preview nights, Oulton Park. Dan Mould on pole with 2nd place at Kim Andre Bjorklund. 3rd place Daniel Lewis with 4th place occupying alongside him with Rock Copser. 5th place Marianne Kodeman and Daniel Downing on 6th. 7th place John Brown and Sydney Hards. And in the 8th place there, Craig Walters and Stuart Gibbons occupy 9th and 10th, with Dick Crowther in 11th, with Torbjorn Marley in 12th. 13th place is Ryan Stringer with 14th, Dahu as Peru, where 15th is Augustus Sablinskis and 16th Carl Hardy. 17th is Chris Barnes and 18th Ido Kirpser, and 19th Scott Malcolm with 20th Fraser Garrity. 21st and 22nd is Vigard Lear and Demi Titular. 23rd Yura Larkin and 24th Zachary Sorchuk. Fiona Siddons is 25th with 1.8 seconds behind there. In 26th place Craig Charles and Jeff Saunders 27th. I don't know if they're going to be taking the grid. They're not part of a set. Jeff Saunders is taking the grid, sorry. Craig Charles has not taken to the grid. Yowza. That's your grid. I think we got through that in record time, pretty much. As we get our bits and bobs open for you. We're going to open up the leader. There we go. We're going to go lap times. We're going to go helmets. So we focus on Kim Andre Bjorklund. There's our start lights. As the revs start to pick up. 2, 3, 4, 5. Green means go, and we are go, 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 go. At Oulton Park for race 1, as the cars come down to the first corner of Old Hall Corner as they lead us through this wonderful right-hand sweeping corner. Everyone piles through. 2, 3 wide, a little bit of a slide through there. I don't know if we saw some action there. We didn't quite see it on the thing, but I think everyone survived just about. Down into turn 3, Cascades. We've got cars 2 wide. And just getting through nicely there. Really well done driving there. No one looking like they're left behind. Good start for everybody there as they run down Lakeside into turn 4, the Island Bend. Cars 2 wide. You've got to be brave here. Don't push everyone off. Just keep it on track. Into Shell Oils. We've seen no one. We've got an accident behind. We've got a big one. We've got a big one. We've got, not sure who it is. We're waiting for that to pick up, but the action will show us shortly. But there was a big crash behind as someone went through. Looks like Ido Kirpser was the car that suffered at Island Bend. The cars run down to Knickerbrook. We've got a car running wide out, Stuart Gibbons. Side by side, we're on board with John Brown into Druids. Craig Walters, the car in front of him. We look behind, there's cars swarming all over the back of John Brown there. That's Sydney Hards. Craig Walters is the car in front of him. As the cars complete their first flying lap, Fiona Siddons has jumped to pit lane. We're going to settle down and then we'll look at some replays shortly after. Dan Mole leads the field away with Mayan Kodabin. Daniel Downing up to 3rd place there. Big losers was Daniel Lewis we've lost. I don't know if we've lost him, if he's gone off track somewhere. He is down in 23rd place. Kim Andre Bjorklund 24th. We're definitely going to need to be checking that one shortly. Don't know if that was toes or what. We didn't see it on the actual broadcast pictures, so something happened there. Which means it's given Dan Mould a bit of breathing room at the front. The cars loop round Shell Oil Corner. And up the hilltop straight. Fiona's on the chat saying VR went black. Oh dear, never a good time for VR to go black. The cars run into Knickerbrook. Line one after the other. So I think it's just kind of stringing out. We've got Meatball flag for Fiona. No other meatballs showing. So let's have a look at what happened. We can find it. Kim Andre Bjorklund crashed. Let's have a look. It was on the start, so we'll watch this until it happens. Did he jump start? Didn't get away too great there, did he? A little bit of a bog down. As the cars came down to the first corner. Well, a little bit of contact inside Dan Mould. Daniel Lewis swept his way through. That's Bjorklund. Daniel Lewis went wide there, so that was Daniel Lewis going off. Not really sure what happened to Auckland, to be honest. I said he crashed quite early on, but didn't seem to. Stick with it and see what happened. It's funny because we didn't see anything really happen to him, did we? But went on track at up the hilltop, so through Clay Hill, Water Tower. And the outside, Dan Mould. Dan Mould sweeping on the inside. That was wonderfully done. And then was Marjan Kodeman coming up the inside there. It's funny because we went the whole lap and nothing seemed to happen with him. And very bizarre. Wonder if he had a penalty for. Must have picked up a penalty. Cops, this was the 2 wide down into Island Bend. Just getting a bit loose on the entrance there, which caused him to gravitate off the boundary, off the barriers and into the walls. That was unfortunate. Dan Lewis had an off. Yep, he unfortunately had that problem there. Okay, so let's quickly jump back to the action as Augusta Sablings is cement off track into Cascades. That's going to be a tough one to keep hold of. Just about did. There we go, and back to the action. There we go. Right, we're on board. Sorry about that, guys. We have to just make sure we see what happened. But Dan Mould is currently leading the field with Marjan Kodeman and Daniel Downing, all within a second of each other. Bjorklund, so it's Torbjörn Marley working his way through the field with Chris Barnes on his outside, down through Hilltop. And then on the run down to Knickerbrook, Scott Malcolm. Not sure why he's saying he's from Norway, but he is. We've got Carl Hardy off track. Not showing as off track, so just an off track there. So your leaders, Dan Mould, Marjan Kodeman and Craig Walters sniffing himself into third place there. Up ahead of Daniel Downing with 2 wide up at the front with Marjan Kodeman and Dan Mould as they race down to the start-finish line. Over the line to complete the 4th lap and start the 5th, but can Marjan take the lead into this turn 1 Old Hawk corner? Dan Mould says no thank you very much, I'm going to use the outside line in my Civic and take advantage, but here comes Walters. Into Cascades, wonderfully done. Talk about opportunism, Craig Walters there, and he's going to go after Dan Mould. Dan Mould must have a damage here. Really must do, because he's lost the pace, so Walters goes through. Through goes Walters. Into the Island Bend. And the lead is his. Yeah, I think Dan might have some damage here. That probably early on in the contact, because he's not got the pace here, but he might have the pace coming out of it now. As they run down to, we have a meatball for Nihal as Peru. Probably going to check that in a minute. Lots of Norwegians. There's a fair few Norwegians here, but it's good to see a wide variety of drivers as Marjan looking to go inside Dan Mould. As we got Honda 1, 2, 3 and 4 at the front of your field here. Recruitment must be good. Recruitment is excellent. We've got a great team behind us here at SRLTV. Getting the recruitment from drivers all over Europe and South America so far. And I've actually got some North Americans who aren't on track as well for this next season. So a real widespread of flavour for the next season of SRLTV. We've lost Ido, we've lost Fiona on the lead laps. Nahul is trying to get round to pit lane. Craig Walters leads the car over and completes the lap in the lead ahead of Dan Mould. Dan Mould is not quite on his pace yet, but there's Marjan Kodeman running round the outside there. Just dropping off the back of Dan Mould as they run down towards the Cascades corners. We jump back to the back of the field a little bit here with Zachary Sawchuk. He's moved himself 9 places up to 15th place and holding his own in the middle of the pack there. Good to see we've got 2 wide behind him. Oh, it's not quite good. Grab it there. We've got Carl on the right side. That was John Brown, I think. absolute action everywhere along the straight. What is Georgia? Yeah, I don't know what that's doing. Not playing ball. Sometimes STK does this. It's just doesn't like it. Let's give it a kickstart. Give it a boot. Yeah, sometimes the SDK doesn't play ball with everyone and doesn't show us who's actually on track or driving. As the cars are too wide into Knickerbrook. It's good racing there. Good hard racing. Brilliantly done. There we go. Everyone's from the United Kingdom now. Rico Olsen is definitely Norwegian. And the cars are too wide. That is Daniel Lewis getting his elbows out, pushing Ryan Stringer through in 16th and 17th places there. Down towards Lodge Corner. And Dan Lewis coming through. Dion Brown, he's in 11th place currently. Looking to make some places up here with Torbjorn Marley. And back to the action we go over Edo Kurpser. Yeah, it's getting the countries wrong. Oh, what are you doing now? SDK is having absolute moments here. It is not liking the action on track. There we go, Daniel Lewis. Let's go back on there. We've got too wide through Cascades of the 842 car of Torbjorn Marley. So not Daniel Lewis, it's John Brown, but they are too wide towards Island Bend. Who's going to have to be the brave here? John Brown is brave and slings it down the inside. Coming up to Shell Oil's corner. Can he get the grunt out there? It's Chris Barnes. He is up 5 places to 12th place. He is followed closely there by Deck Crowther in a similarly liveried Blaze design car as they get the run down Hilltop towards Knickerbrook for the start. Another drafting session down here. They'll be keen to get on the back of John Brown and Torbjorn here. But keeping Deck Crowther comfortably is Scott Malcolm as they sling their way through Knickerbrook. It's pretty tight out there. One mistake is enough to cause you instances. You were reluctant when you saw in the background, just running a little bit wide, a bit too wide. Chris Barnes with Torbjorn, a little bit of contact between Barnes and Barnes is going to slide off into the gravel. I think he's just got to hold on to it. He is just held it off the barriers, and not quite, unfortunately. Chris Barnes has taken some damage there on his run off the track. He was a bit brave on the outside there of Torbjorn. It was opportunist to say the least from where my angle was, to put it simply. Let's have a look, see if we can get it a bit better. There we go, that one there. See it on the outside here. Yeah, it's just that angle wasn't quite on there. Barnes has been out of the touring car scene for a little bit, so we'll be a little bit rusty. But we've got probably a significant bit of suspension damage there. The cars rejoin. Too wide here with Zachary and Kim Andre Bjorklund trying to work his way back off the field after what I assume was his jump start at the beginning. Didn't get any black flag areas come up, but he definitely had some kind of incident on that first starting up. But Kim Andre Bjorklund up to 16th place now, hunting down Daniel Lewis, who is in turn behind Stringer, Malcolm and Marley in the hunt for the top 10. It is a reverse top 10 for the start of the second race, so it's going to be quite interesting to see how close everyone gets and how hard they want to push. Craig Walters still occupying the lead. Really comfortably out front. Let's go and join the leaders as it stands on track at the moment with Craig Walters, Dan Mould and Mayan Koderman. Dan Mould is attaching himself to the bumper of Craig Walters. Is he playing with his food? Is he playing like a predator would with his prey? Let's see, we'll find out. We are 13 minutes into the race. This means there's 7 minutes to go, which is around 6 laps, maybe 5 laps as it works out. We've got Sydney Hards and stuff going on down towards the back. I think that was just off tracks. No one has fallen down the order between Sydney, Daniel and Stu Gibbons. As we look back, Stringer has just passed Malcolm. You see Walters giving himself a huge gap to Dan Mould there into Island Bend and Shell Oils. Where has Craig Walters found his pace from? Certainly turning up and performing like the program he's meant to be. This is all on pace outright at the moment. The only thing I can think of is maybe a little bit damage for Dan Mould, but not take anything away because Craig Walters is showing him a clean pair of heels as the cards streak over the hill towards Knickerbrook. One after the other again for everyone to enjoy. Let's jump back to the most exciting as iRacing sees fit, which apparently is these guys. Here we go, back on board. This is back with Zachary, his number 25 Audi. We see a car going wide there as Vigard Olsen Lear. Knickerbrook's one of those corners, it punishes you for leaning on the corner too hard. You've got to be very patient with how you get through there. And the off-tracks will soon rack up. As you will see, we are at 7 off-tracks for TCR, 9 off-tracks for Daniel Lewis. And the clean race so far for Mayan Coda, but no incident points to him. So looking pretty good and clean as Daniel Lewis gets a run down Scott Malcolm down the start-finish line towards Oulton Corner. Can he make it stick in an Audi versus Honda battle? And Dan Lewis does, sweeps it down the inside of Scott Malcolm. Scott Malcolm coming back at him with the switchback. This is what it's all about with touring car racing. Make one move and get the other move as we come down to Cascades. And side by side through Cascades, but Scott Malcolm gives in the room. Nicely done, good driving there and trying to get the run down himself now to the Island Bend and Shellow's Corner. We're looking 3 wide. That's Zachary looking to get himself involved. Tough corner to do it, but backed out of it and gives himself the potential for the run down and Lakes, so Hilltop Street. 5 minutes to go. Daniel Lewis up to 15th. I think up to 15th from where he went down to, but he did drop 12 places along with Kim Andre Bjorkland on that opening lap. Daniel Lewis was just down to driving off track and saving it from rejoining. Scott Malcolm went off track, but nothing's too crazy. As the cars run their way down. There's Leah off track again in the background there, pushing Knickerbrook to its absolute limit. Greg Walters is just 0.4 ahead of Dan Mould again, and we're going to jump back to the front of the race for these two as they start another lap. We have 10 laps in the bag, 11 laps starting now with 4 minutes to go. Craig Walters hold off the Dan Mould Express, which is right behind him. Car off in the background there. Now Daniel Downing using the full extent of the off-tracks and the speed tokens available to them tonight. Cascades welcomes the cars for this 11th lap. And Dan Mould getting his windscreen wiper on. Is that an expression to say, this dirt is covering my windscreen? Or is that dirt Craig Walters, the car in front of me? Move out of the way. Craig Walters drove a fine display of driving here to keep Dan Mould at bay, with Mayan Kodaben just falling back behind, a bit too wide behind. Rock Copser and Daniel Downing behind. Let's have a look at these two guys as they go through Knickerbrook. They're side by side. Nicely done there, and Daniel Downing just holds the line absolutely splendidly as they come down towards the Druids Corner. Sidney Hards is now in contention with Carl Hardy, who's made 9 places up there, along with Fraser Garrity, who's made 12 in their 7th and 8th places. Really good pace on these boys here. But Sidney Hards will be keen to make some places up in his 502 Honda with the CWM Honda Civic there of the car 17 of Daniel Downing. Another new name to the series in 4th place. Fine debut for him. Back to Walters, who gapped Dan Mould again at the start of a lap, so 0.7 ahead, which is looking absolutely fascinating between Mould and Walters. We'll jump back to maybe something a bit more exciting with some closer action. It is this posse behind of Rock Copser, Daniel Downing, Sidney Hards. Carl Hardy is there at the back of his trailer. Fraser Garrity is about 5-6 seconds further back from Carl Hardy. So this is where the action is going to heat up into the final segments of this race. There's 2 minutes to go. Ura Larkinen just running off track again in the background. Rock Copser using the full extent of his limits. And he is going to get pulled aside here by Sidney Hards. You can see the drag down the run here. Sidney Hards is that number 6, that 6th place car, now 5th. Coming towards Knickerbrook. Who is going to have the brains or the balls or if you don't have any of them, the expertise to navigate Knickerbrook cleanly and nicely done. And right behind Rock now is Carl Hardy. He is ever present, lurking. Can he make a move into Druids? Not a normal overtaking spot, but you can get a good slingshot out of it if you get a good late apex here, which looks like Carl Hardy has done. Is he going to make the move into Lodge Corner with turn 11? Not quite as good defensive driving there from Rock. As we run left-hand side, Sydney's gone deep. Oh, Sydney's going to pay for that pride, and he loses 2 places there as the cars come through Deer Leap. So Sydney would be disappointed going very deep into Lodge Corner, but it's so easy to do, just a slight lock-up or a slight overbrake. And all of a sudden you are dropping places down. We're giving Daniel Downing a little bit of respite. He is further ahead with a bit of clean track on his own. So are we on the last lap? I didn't see if Barney was waving the last lap. So bear with me 1 second while we check that. I did see it. Yes, we are on the last lap. The final lap is here. Craig Walters, we're going to stick on board now with Craig. Can Craig Walters hold off Dan Mould on this final lap? The 2,800 I-rated driver against a 5,500 I-rated driver. Pushing each other over the jump at the top of Hilltop down towards Knickerbrook. Can Walters hold on to it? Marjan Kodeman is there. He is pushing Dan Mould, who is pushing Walters as Walters uses that bounce off the track to his certainly to his advantage. Into Lodge Corner. The top 3 are doing a fine job here of running away from the rest of the pack on this final lap. Craig Walters has 1 more corner to negotiate with any significant pressure. Takes the inside line, holds it on, and gets on the power nice and early to come across Deer Leap. And Craig Walters wins the heat race for the first one of the night. Fabulous driving from Craig Walters with Dan Mould, Marjan Kodeman, Daniel Downing, Rock Copser, Carl Hardy, Sidney Hard, Fraser Geraghty's bringing them over the line now with Stuart Gibbons, Kim Andre Bjorklund, Deck Crowther, Dan Lewis, Scott Malcolm, Torbjorn Marley, Ryan Stringer bringing them over now, and Euro Larkin and Demi Tigchula, Augusta Sablinkas, Vigard Olsen, Leah, Jess Saunders, Zachary Sorchuk, bringing them all over the line. Whoa. Good morning, Vietnam. That was a race and a half. I mean, that was intense. There was a lot of close battles going on, and just brilliant. I bet Craig Walters was absolutely ecstatic with that one there. Biscuits galore, I bet. Let's bring you the results from Heat 1 just so we get up on the screen so you can see what occurred and what didn't occur. But thank you very much. You let me down there. That one there, let's do that. Does that do it? There we go. The 007 from Craig Walters. Not quite Mr. Bond, but certainly led the way there with a win of 0.220 over Dan Mould. And Marjan Kodeman was just less than a second behind them 3 as a trio. Daniel Downing on his debut in the SRL series of races, coming home 4th for Rock Hopser, also a newcomer in 5th place. Carl Hardy brought it home in 6th place with Sidney Hards in 7th. They had a great battle on the last couple of laps. Unfortunately, Sydney just diving a little bit too deep into that corner. Lodge Corner, that was, on the penultimate lap. So unfortunately, didn't quite go the way he wanted. Fraser Geraghty, 8th place. Strong drive from him, up 12 places to finish off with John Brown in 9th place. Stuart Gibbons in 10th. Kim Andre Bjorklund working his way back up through the field with I assume it was a drive-through. We didn't get a chance to see it properly. I think it was a drive-through from a jump start at the beginning up to 11th after starting in 2nd place. Deck Crowther 12th, Daniel Lewis in 13th, Scott Malcolm 14th, Torbjorn Marley in 15th, Ryan Stringer in 16th, Euro Larkinen is in 17th, and Demi Tigchula in 19th. Augusta Sablinkas was 19th with 20th place going to Vigar Leah. 21st, Jeff Saunders on his debut in the SRL series. With 22nd, Zachary Sorchuk, who certainly put himself out there in that first race and made it look pretty impressive driving. Certainly getting his elbows out where he needed to. Fiona Siddons and Chris Barnes. Fiona Siddons suffered a VR outage on the first lap, with Chris Barnes fortunately having an incident with Torbjorn on the outside of Druids Corner. Was it Druids or Lodge? No, it was Druids. Now Hill, as Peru, he had an incident early on as well. So he had to get some damage in Edo Cops and suffered a first lap incident at Island Bend, bouncing across the curb and tagging the front end, I think, of Daniel Lewis as well, actually. So Daniel Lewis was certainly in the wars in that first race. Well, by gum, great foot racing in the first one there. Don't know if anyone's on track at the moment. No one's on track, so everyone's enjoying a breather from that first race. But that was mental. Really, really good. But as mentioned, it is a reverse grid. So whoever finished in 10th place, and let's take a look at that on the standings page now, actually, for you. Which we will scroll it back on. So 10th place is the reverse grid. It starts off with Stuart Gibbons, John Brown and Fraser Geraghty, Sydney Hards, Carl Hardy, Rock Cops, Daniel Downey, Marion Coderman, Dan Mould, and Craig Walters would be occupying the reverse top 10 of the grid. I believe it might be 15. To be honest, I didn't actually see it in the standings, in the rules. Let's see if it shows us here. Invert 15. There we go. 15. Go on, Kev. Do your basic maths. There ain't no 10 people doing that. So we'll be down to 15th place. That means Torbjorn Marley will take the pole, with Scott Malcolm joining on the front row. Daniel Lewis, bit of gamesmanship maybe, down to get down to 13th place and starting third on the grid. Can he make use of that Audi start? But the fast charge and Dick Crowther behind him. Kim Andre Bjorklund on the third row, looking to carve his way through the rest of the grid. Cars on track, just having a little warm-up for the start of the second race. Should be coming at you in about a minute or so. I need to make sure that is good to go. "21 seconds remain." Yeah, so just make sure my time is synced up nicely there, which it is. As a drifting exhibition gets underway with Vico Olsaleer in Shell Oils. It wets my whistle. Yes, Stian fighting everywhere on track. Absolute stunning performance. This is the beauty of the SRLTV format. Yes, in this TCR league. There's always something going on somewhere on track as we get the grid underway. Oh, will you give me the grid? Come on, people. There we go. There's the grid for race 2, the feature race. A 25-minute feature race is coming up now. We'll rattle through this as quickly as we can with Torbjorn Marley in first on pole, with Scott Malcolm in second. We've got Lewis in third, with Crowther in fourth, Bjorklund in fifth, Gibbons in sixth, Brown in seventh, Geraghty in eighth, with Hards in ninth and Hardy in 10th. 11th is Copser and Downing in 12th. In 13th is Coderman, and 14th Mould. 15th is Walters, with Stringer in 16th. We've got Larkin in 17th, Tigchela in 18th, with Sablinskis in 19th, with Vigan Lear in 20th, Saunders 21st, Sawchuk in 22nd, Siddons in 23rd, Barnes in 24th, Ice Peru in 25th, and Copser in 26th, with Charles looking like he's not taking the grid again. Oh, are we ready? Are we ready to go, people? As everyone gets ready to go, here we go. We didn't want to kick me off there. Go, and we're green. We are go into the first corner. Let's see how this one goes this time round. Turn 1 as the cars come round into the first corner. Everyone looks pretty clean through there so far. No incidents since that first one as they come down. Torbjorn Marley has suffered a bit of a bad start. He's down to 5th place. Into Cascades as the cars roll their way round. Nice start from everyone there as the cars come down Lakeside. Straight into Island Bend, flat out. Shell Oil's corner is where it's going to be at. So we're looking at the background. Does anyone stick it wide around Island Bend? But no, it's looking pretty good round Shell Oil's. Good driving from everybody. Too wide, we've got a car sliding. That's Viggo Lear kept it on track somehow. Fabulous bit of driving as he Barnes as they scream down Hilltop. And we got the background for Britain. We see Scott Malcolm flying away through Knickerbrook. He's chased down by Al Bjorklund and Lewis and Marley and Brown and Gibbons as they come up Clay Hill Water Tower. And then Druid's Corner, which is this fabulous double right-hander as the cars stream their way round. Wonderful, wonderful picturesque scenery here at Oulton Park. And the run down to Lodge Corner, the tricky right-hander, get the braking zone right. We've got cars going not quite too wide. We've got a Sen coming in from Walters behind him. We're going to see that one through. Walters did a wonderful job there and made it stick. And over the last corner through D-Leap. And that was your first lap of the race. As we see Walters coming up the inside of Stringer. We've got cars running a bit wide. We've lost Carl Hardy. We're not sure what happened there. We'll have to check that one out on a replay after. Can't see any meat. Oh, there's a black flag from Hardy, so I'm guessing that was a drive-through. Yep, we saw the pit lane go off. Carl Hardy with a potential drive-through penalty. Sablinskas we've lost. He's into the pits. I think he had a drive-through as well. Possibly. We'll have to check it out. What happened on that open lap. As we join with Fraser Gerrity in his Honda Civic with Dick Crowther just in front of him. As the cars roar their way down Hilltop towards Knickerbrook. In front of Crowther, we've got Tawarya and Mane, our Pulsar, who dropped 4 places, but setting down to 5th. Malcolm is up front with Kim Andre Bjorklund. Right on his tail there with Daniel Lewis right behind him. It is literally lying astern between the leaders of this second race, this feature race, which is 25 minutes long, as we see someone going around doing so. Someone didn't even get a chance to see that what happened. As our race director decided to flip buttons really quickly, but Scott Malcolm holding his lead up at front. Nice pace shown early on here. Can Bjorklund counter it? We shall find out. As John Brown is sniffing around behind Dan Lewis there. As we're looking at lap times there, 35.3s for the top 4. So look at some names we've got further down. Dan Mulder's made 3 places up now, 4 places up to 10th place. So he's getting his way forward, following Daniel Downing through the field, who's also made 3 places. Fraser Gerrity and Sidney Harsel 1 place. Crowther's down 2, so he had not the greatest start for himself there, as he runs an off-track at Cascades himself. A bit of breathing room Scott Malcolm's just given himself here against Kim Andre Bjorklund. Daniel Lewis is certainly going to keep him under pressure with that Audi versus Honda battle at the front. So let's jump to who it thinks is the most exciting drivers. It's a 2-wide battle affair with Stuart Gibbons and Mayan Koderman and Rock Kupsa occupying 11th, 12th and 13th places here. Gibbons has lost 6 places from the start of the race. Didn't quite get the start right. Keen to hurry his way back through if he can and join a couple of his stablemates in the Blade Designs livery, as we see Koderman all over the back of Gibbons as they run down to Lodge Corner and Druids, so Druids then Lodge Corner. Use as much of a track as possible. A little shoe to the right there. He's just making a move. Is this a posture in the move for Koderman into Lodge? I think he's going to make it stick. He certainly has, and he's being followed through by Stringer. Oh, Stringer has just strung Gibbons up with that move. And Walters screaming past Gibbons there. So Craig Walters, our race winner from the first one, has just made an audacious move and followed the pack past Gibbons there, who's lost 3 places in 2 corners. And now they're 2 wide as they come down to the Cascades. Unfortunately, we've jumped off our barrel to watch the Gerrity battle, sorry, the Hards battle. Sorry, the Gerrity Hards Downing battle, because they're all there. Bjorklund's on the back of this. Mould is on the back of this. it is tight. So not Walker, does that. Toby and Marley. There's 3 red Hondas, which is so hard to catch as it goes. Daniel Downing in that wonderfully liveried black, white and yellow Honda. That's a very smart livery he's got there, as the car's battling all the way down Hilltop towards Knickerbrook. Crowther there in the 5th place. Not quite a cork in the bottle. That is being reserved for absolutely no one. We've got a spin behind. We've got Gibbons. Gibbons has gone round. We're not sure what happened. Let's have a quick look at that one. Oh, I think he just got into the back of someone. Let's didn't get quite the right angle there, did we? There we go. Let's have a look at, oh, just a bit of closing speed. And Walters tapped the back of him round as well. Avoided the barriers. But that's a consequence of just high-speed action going into the first corner. Going into Knickerbrook where someone else is checking up in front. We got contact ground. Off goes to Warnian Marley. Oh dear, that was a big one. That was a big one. Hold your line, hold your brakes. I think that is going to be a tow for Warnian. There, I've got to spit out properly. Let's have a look at that one. I think he just got a little nudge on the rear end from Fraser. On the 117, Fraser, oh yes. Fraser comes off the curb. And unfortunately, I don't think there's a lot there Sporyan could do about that. That's a shame to see that happen. Unfortunately for Sporjan, I was saying his name perfectly at the beginning, but I want to say Marley now. Because I'm clearly not getting it right. As we see 2 ride now with the chopper cam of Mould and Zachary Sawchuk into Knickerbrook. Dan Mould is down in 14th place. How's he down this far down? Has he had to... Oh, it's good battling that is. That's really good. Side by side into Knickerbrook. Lots of respected room given. Dan Mould coming back on the inside there. Just letting Zach know that he's there as they come into this high-speed Druids corner. Double apex right-hander gives in the room. Good driving from Zachary Sawchuk there. Really good racing there. And Dan Mould looking to come back on the inside of the Lodge corner with Zachary Sawchuk. Oh, he sent it and he sent it big and made it big. Wonderful overtake from Dan Mould there. Just riding the brakes through the old Lodge corner and Deer Leap. And now there's a posse of 3 cars here into the first corner of Old Hall Corner. Robust defence from TCR, and Zachary keeps his foot in as we see Codeman looking to go through the gap there and does make it stick in there. 2 wide into Cascades between Tignature and Codeman, and Codeman makes it stick and works in his favour. Wonderful driving there from the boys. We watch on board of Zachary's car into Shell Oil's corner. See the car in front there of Dan Mould, just gapping himself back to Codeman. The cars that run down Hilltop. Excuse me. Okay, so we've still got 22 cars on the lead lap. Right now we've lost Marley and Gibbons. Dan Mould is having a few adventurous off tracks. This is Chris Barnes. A bit behind there. He's up 5 places. But we're going to jump back. We did see Kim Andre Bjorklund. He has got past Scott Malcolm at some point. Unfortunately, we did miss that. As we're watching the action further down. Let's see if we can find that overtake from Bjorklund. Sorry about that. Because I was trying to do 2 things at once there, which is never easy for many of us. I don't know when it happened. It didn't actually flag up on the instance, on the exciting part, so that it saves automatically. So we never known that would have happened. Unfortunately. So unfortunately, we're not going to see that overtake because it apparently never happened. So we'll, yeah. It might show up later on. Who knows? Nahul Ice Peru has jumped to the pits. I can't see what happened. More damage. Not really too sure there. As the cars are on Hilltop now, we've got 10 minutes gone, which means we've 15 minutes to go of this feature race. It's getting a little bit murky out there on track. Rain is definitely not forecast in this league. Craig Walters having a moment off track, but still keeping it going. As we are on board of Rock Kerpser. We'll do some better pronunciations of this for the next time we do the broadcast. He's up 3 places to his 8th place. Zachary has just passed Tigchular for 15th place. And we're on board of Dan Lewis, who is currently in 4th. John Brown sneaked past him earlier on. And they're on the back of Scott Malcolm as they start their 8th lap of the race. 7 completed. Now, this SRL trio looking to work together maybe and overcome Scott Malcolm, who is just slowly dropping off the pace of Bjorklund, who's 3 seconds up the road of traffic in front of him, slowly coming up. I want to say that's Marley that he will have to encounter shortly. Through Iron Bend, the cars go. Wonderful shot here. We've got our drone out over at Shell Oil's corner and the Island Bend. We see John Brown trying to go past Scott Malcolm. And there's Scott Malcolm on your left there. Let's switch it back. He's going for it. Malcolm going for the switch back, and Malcolm's just running onto the dirt there. Keeping his foot in nicely. A bit of a twitch from there from John Brown, maybe in the acceleration point, but it's tricky through there off the curb. Into Druids. Scott Malcolm really attaching himself to that bumper of John Brown. Good racing from them, though. Good hard racing. Flash of lights from Deck Crowther at Dan Lewis. Is that the upcoming doom or the upcoming overtake that Deck plans to send it on Dan Lewis, as he is now part of this 4-car battle with Daniel Downing making up his 6 places at the start of the race in 6th place now. He will be keen to make this a battle of 6 cars. Bjorklund is slowly gapping hard against John Brown there, but as these guys all battle, which slows them down naturally. Kim Andre Bjorklund with clear air is able to stretch his legs of his Honda to dominate the race so far. John Brown just gapping a little bit of room there to Scott Malcolm as they roll through Island Bends into Shell Oils. Are we going to see anything fabulously overtaken? Oh, we've got a bit of contact between Dan Lewis and Deck Crowther's gone into the back of Dan Lewis as well. Oh, we've got incidences here going on. We must have had about 3 or 4 cars just coming together a little bit there. It was certainly a bit interesting. Daniel Downing makes the move on Deck Crowther. We heard a few incidents there. We didn't quite see it fully, but definitely Daniel Lewis went to the back of Scott Malcolm, which caused a concertina of incidents further back. Just like some good fender bender on the US highways. Cars. Just not quite. Oh, we got a car off on the left. That's car 48 of Scott Malcolm. Just keeping it on track using the maximum extent of the limits allowed. But it's going to allow Dan Lewis to close up again. And the cars behind to close up. And turns into a battle of Daniel Brown. So Daniel Lewis just runs a little bit off track on the exit there. There's going to be a in lap for Deck Crowther. He hasn't got a meatball showing. So I'm hoping that's not for damage, but it must be. To get a quick repair in and out done. He's going to drop all the way down the order from that top position there. So he did suffer. We've got a yellow flag for Ryan Stringer. He's kept it together, so he's all right. Nothing serious there, but Deck Crowther is staying in pit road. So his damage is enough to close up for the night. Salvador forgot to turn his fuel and tyres off. Now, Scott Malcolm will have to deal with this onslaught again from Daniel Lewis. And now Daniel Downing, a pair of Dans. Who is going to be the top Dan? The final Dan. will be determined as this race goes on. Vigard Olsen Lear is up 4 places to 16th place, as we can see on track. And here, Honda and the Honda Elantra. One day I'm going to get this right, a Hyundai Elantra. Running nice pace. Nice battles going on there. You've got Zachary Sawchuk around and Chris Barnes and Carl Hardy. Certainly no slouches around of these guys on track. And Hardy and Barnes looking to go toe-to-toe into Druids. And Hardy makes it stick in the background there. Wonderful bit of driving from Carl Hardy into Druids. Looking to make quick gains here on his road towards the middle of the pack. Right, let's have a look at what else we've got going on around. Auckland is still 4 seconds clear of Malcolm. Sorry, of Brown. Brown's got 2 seconds back to Malcolm here, and we've got Lewis and Downing breathing all over him here as they run down. So Downing got past Lewis actually as well. Didn't see that one sneak by. So can Downing make work of Malcolm here at the end of Shell Oils? We will find out. As Downing went a little bit wide and then succumbed to Lewis on the exit, and that will harm Downing all the way down the the back straight of Hilltop. Oh, let's do the whistle as the whistle is wet, shall we say. Right, Scott Malcolm is still holding on there nicely as we watch these 4 cars barrel down Nickelbrook and through into the final half of the lap. You might argue the more technical section of the track. You've got to get these corners right in terms of keeping momentum through for the next one down each next little straight. It is all about keeping it on the straight and narrow. Evening JPS in the YouTube chat. Thank you for joining us tonight in this SRL feature race, the second race of tonight, 25-minute feature with 18 minutes to go. With 8 minutes left, 7 minutes left. My maths is terrible tonight. As the race is progressing, your top 10 as it stands is Kim Andre Bjorklund first, John Brown second, Scott Malcolm third, Daniel Downing in fourth, of Daniel Lewis in fifth, Sidney Hars in sixth, Fraser Garrity seventh, Rock Hopser in eighth, Dan Mould in ninth, and Ryan Stringer in 10th. We are on the most closest battle on track at the moment, which is Vigard Olsen Lear with Carl Hardy and Chris Barnes in hot pursuit, as this is the 12th lap of the race with 7 minutes to go, as mentioned. It is high octane, highly intense. Are people going to make moves shortly to work in their favour? We hop around, we're going to see where we got Dan Mould. We've got Ryan Stringer for company still down that back straight, but he's going to look to make some inroads against Rock Copser in front. Fraser Garrity has Rock all over the back of him. We jump on board. Sidney Hars just being left behind a little bit by the Lewis Downing battle in front. Hoping for some more of their battles and opportunities to get by. There's Daniel Downing and Scott Malcolm. Scott Malcolm doing a terrific job in this race of staying near the front. He started second, he's down to third, but showing some good pace and some good consistency here to maintain that podium position for himself. Kim Andre Bjorklund is out in front as we watch him here just roll around on his own, a comfortable 5.5 seconds ahead of this guy. John Brown in Cascades, who has a 3-second gap to Scott Malcolm, who has given us a little bit of room here to Daniel Downing and the other Daniel Lewis, just because they haven't been able to really close up and cause too much pressure on Scott. We'll jump back to the Vigard Olsen Lear battle. Carl Hardy, who was making quick inroads behind these guys and trying to overtake quickly, has kind of hit a brick wall and has not been able to close that gap anymore. So let's see if that can be opportunities can arise. Will any desperation start to creep in as we hit the 20-minute mark with 5 minutes to go? We're on board of Fraser Garrity as he tries to chase down Sidney Hars, but he has Rock Cupser right behind him. And back to the Vigard Olsen Lear one with Carl Hardy is right up the rear end. We jump on board with Carl Hardy now. Looking at this 2-wide battle. There's a little bit of a lean on there from Vigon Oulton Leagure into this right-hander. Knickerbrook, is there going to be contact? A huge contact! Oh, that's a massive one. Oh, I'm not going to lie about it. Looked almost inevitable. And that will certainly be looked at after the race, no doubt. Oh, dear. That's terrific kind of action to actually catch that one on board, as we saw that live happen with Carl Hardy and Vigon Oulton Leagure into Knickerbrook. Never a corner to be taken lightly too wide. Murder, maybe. Certainly contact that maybe could have been avoided from the commentator's view. But we'll check that one out on the replay at the end of the race. As we see Fraser Geraghty running there in 7th place, up 1 place from his starting position. He is closing a little bit on the battle in front, but the guys behind him are also there. Scott Malcolm has unfortunately made a mistake which we didn't see, which caused everyone to go past him. Scott Malcolm went off track. Let's have a quick look at that as we go into Knickerbrook. He just got a little bit late there on turning. He did, and runs off wide, hits the gravel, saves it from the barrier. What an impressive save from Scott Malcolm. 10 out of 10 for your save there, sir. That was fabulous work. We jump back on with the Fraser Geraghty battle. That's not the most exciting one. Thank you, race director. Fraser Geraghty's going to have his pants pulled down here if he's not careful by Rock Cupser and Dan Mould. And we know how opportunist Mould would like to be when sticking that nose into another battle. Scott Malcolm saved that one from the 4th bridge to the Clyde Bridge, if that even exists in Glasgow. Yeah, it's good old Scottish shave, let's call it that one. Right then, here we go with Fraser Geraghty and Rock Cupser. They are closing in on the battle in front of them. That is traffic, I believe, on the rear end of Sydney Hards and Scott Malcolm. Yes, it is. 2 wide of Fraser Geraghty pushing out wide. We've got traffic on pit lane exits. They're all going to avoid that one nicely. Good driving. Dan Mould again takes the opportunity and literally pulled Fraser's pants down on that overtake. That is the king of the big sentences, JPS in the chat. You are pretty accurate about that, my friend. As we see Diamond, can he send it into Island Bend? This is an opportunist one as well, and he's going to send it into Island Bend. He's going to be brave, bit of door-to-door shebangs. But coming back in with Rock Cupser and goes, thank you very much, sir. You do it to me. I will do that back to you. And I will, but Dan Mould with a drive out of Shell Oils, which was 4-wheel drive-esque. Fraser taking that opportunity to get the long hilltop, and they're going 2 wide. Now we're going to have another one of these 2 wide battles in Knickerbrook. Who is going to be brave? Who's going to rock? Don't be backed out of it sensibly. He knows when the opportunity is not the opportunity. Dan Mould takes full advantage of a speed token as we are on 23 minutes and 30 seconds. Kim Andre Bjorklund is about to start the final lap of the race as we watch this 3 wide battle through the line. It is heating up with the action. Everyone on track. We've got 2 wide in front of us. Scott Malcolm and Sydney Hards, and Sydney Hards pulls it off. Dan Mould, Fraser just sends it down the inside of Rock Cupser. Call him the postman, because that was not being returned to the sender. Fabulous move from Fraser there. Possibly one of the moves of the day. This is the final lap of the race. The feature race is coming to a quick end. Rock is going to take advantage of every speed token imaginable. Can he make it work in his advantage? But he's losing out to Fraser there. Dan Mould is closing in on Scott Malcolm. The battle up the front, unfortunately, is spread out to big gaps between Downing and Lewis and Hards. So this is the battle now from Sydney Hards in 5th place to Scott Malcolm, to Mould, to Geraghty, to Cupser, and to Ryan Stringer, just about getting near the end, I think, there. He's about 4 seconds off, though. So they come down to Hilltop. Are we going to see any 2 wide action? Dan Mould getting another good drive out of Shell Oils. Is it going to be a good enough drive to make the move and get alongside Scott Malcolm into Knickerbrook? But Scott Malcolm's got a good pull off the back of Sydney Hards as well, as they're looking to go 2 wide in synchronisation. Both went, nope, not today. As they come rolling round. We're going to stay with this battle because Kim Andre Bjorklund is miles ahead and going to take the win easily. Daniel Lewis has just snaffled. Daniel Downing has had an incident. Oh, we're going to see an incident there. Daniel Downing has just fell down the order. I'm not sure if that's incident Daniel Lewis. But Oulton Park has won the race, the feature race by a comfortable 7 seconds, but this is the battle to watch as we come towards the end. Can Scott Malcolm, and Dan Mould gets tight on the inside and loses it. Can Fraser Garrity come along, and Dan Mould? And Fraser Garrity's got him, it's 3 wide over the line. Who's it going to be? It's Fraser Garrity over Dan Mould and Rock Copsey. What a finish that was over the line, that was. There we go, that's a checkered. And breathe. Well, you know, sometimes you want to show the leaders go over the line, but actually when the racing's that tight, you don't want to show that. You want to show the battle on track. Yes, it was 4th, 5th place, 6th place, but that was intense. Scott Malcolm held his own, held his lines, did a great defensive performance, and Fraser Garrity, the opportunist right at the end, snaffled it, and then, yeah, not want to be seeing that at the end of the race, do we, lads? Ideally. Let's have a look at some replays, because there's going to be plenty of them. If we can find them, because there was a few. Let's put it that way. Oh, I saw Stu Gibbon. Oh, don't do that to me now. Thank you. There we go. This was on the opening lap. Gibbon's just getting a little tap there. But that's nothing crazy. Thank you very much, JPS. Much appreciated. It's not something I normally do, but we like to throw it out there. Let's see if Ryan Stringer past Craig Walters. This is just first lap action. As we see Stringer and Walters. Stringer on the left, Walters on the right. And we wait for the results to be compiled as well. That's a nice bit of driving there. The Hydro Force boys going 2 wide behind. Let's see, Stuart Gibbons, another one off-track message here. If I click on the right one, it did. And it just avoided the contact there and probably sensibly drove off track to not make that go any other way. And I think it's Rock Kopse. I will work it out, Slovakian pronunciation of that. And make it as authentic as we can. Stuart Gibbons with another off-track. Certainly reckon up, this is probably just a nice bit of argy-bargy there between Dan Mould and Stuart Gibbons. Nothing wrong with that. Fiona Siddons has an off-track. This is probably just another one. And their work guard livery, that's a straight line into Druids. Yeesh. Well, that's well held. Craig Walters off-track. Plenty going on. 3 happened at the same corner. This is Knickerbrook. Oh, this was the contact. Gibbons into Coderman. And there was, yeah. Is what I'm going to say. Is yeah. Watch that one in slow-mo. It's just a check-up there, isn't it? Because the first incident that happened, Gibbons had nowhere to go. Walters had nowhere to go. And he finished off Gibbons with a lovely pit manoeuvre to spin him round. And I think that's Larkin, the 52. Yep, just avoiding it. So big old crash that one was, unfortunately. Scott Malcolm went off track. I think it's just an off track on the outside. Yep. I was saying Torbjorn's Marley name perfectly fine anyway now. I can't even say it. So Marley. This was the incident with Fraser. Now, this is the one that looked a bit more interesting because Fraser rams it off the inside of the curb and just runs it into the back end of Teboyan, and yeah, big crash, engine failure. Yeah, probably needed to say sorry for that one, Fraser. If that was me. But hey, that's racing. Set some storylines up for the rest of the season of contacts to avoid. So it's off track there. Dan Mould went off track and came back on track. This is their 3 wide battle. Fraser, that's Daniel Downey in front, and just a little. Oh, and then Dan Mould, yeah, just got it completely wrong, didn't he? There under the braking zone. As soon as you're on that grass, and did well to avoid the barriers there, and the rejoin questionable. But room was just given. We'll see. And Kim Bjorkton was miles ahead on his own, but still racks up the off track just to go, yeah, well, that's what happens. Chris Barnes went off track. I think this was the double right-hander. You just slide it off and the brake in there just runs out wide. Daniel Mould, with lots of instances here of carnage. Don't say carnage, but just good moves behind. There's contact between TCR and the other car that he was near. Zachary Sorcha because they go too wide through there. Chris Barnes went off track. Just going to work out what this one was. Just a wide one there. Daniel Lewis. I mean, we've got loads of off. Just the thing of Oulton Park. There's loads of off tracks, and it's just avoiding them. And John Brown trying to sneak up the inside of Daniel Lewis. That was the first corner as they run down to Cascades. Easy enough to do. Fraser Geraghty off track. See what happened here. He's chasing down Daniel. Was it Scott Malcolm? It was Scott Malcolm. No, it wasn't. Sorry, 117. No, 17. Car number 17. Kev, use your eyes. Daniel Downing. Yes, we need to find out what happened to them on the last lap, don't we? There's so many incidents in this race. Let's find out what happened on that last one. Scott Malcolm here, so look at this one. As he runs. Yeah, that's a great save from Scott Malcolm. Save of the day, absolutely, for Scott Malcolm there. Great to see him back and doing that. Now, I want to find out. City Hards went off track, Scott Malcolm went off track. This is all around this beginning section here. A bit of contact there against the back of City Hards. From the back of Scott Malcolm. Daniel Downing went off track. This is into Druids. Oh, he just pulls over. Oh, that was different. Was there anything that happened before it? Let's have a look. So this is off track there. I mean, nothing really happened. Just looking at the incident points, he racked up only 5 incident points there. I think it was, yeah, 5 incident points. So it's not like it was any critical limit for Daniel Downing there. So that's a really interesting one. I just watched this lap through. Did anything happen anywhere? I didn't see anything happen. Nothing. Absolutely nothing there. Well, that's a bit of an odd one. I ain't gonna lie. So we're not really sure why that was, or did Dan Lewis just use the force to make his car come to a critical failure at the end there? So let's have a look at this one here with Fraser Geraghty. This is Rock Copser down the inside. This is some good driving. Copser just pushing the limit off the line there. And we're going to have a look at this final lap. We're watching this entirety because this is an absolute mega battle over the line between these drivers. I think this was the final lap anyway. The cars ran down. Pretty sure this was the final one. Oh, yeah. This was the final one. So this was the final lap. We'll watch this in its entirety and just piece together the story of the final lap between Geraghty, Mould, Cupser. Malcolm was involved in it as well. It was so intense between everyone. It was also one of those ones, you know, they're fighting over these places. These aren't the podium places people are fighting over. These are the positions below that, where every point will matter when the league gets underway in a few weeks' time. And really setting a precedent for how close the racing's going to be and how intense the racing's going to be as the season progresses. And also help isolate what drivers will need to go in what divisions as well. It all kind of started, we can't really see the Mould one at the beginning because it came down to a little bit of a send from Mould, but see, there's just at the top right of your screen there. Fucking let me flick it on that way. There we go. So we'll do it this way with Mould and Malcolm as they come round this right-hander. That was Druids towards Lodge Corner, which is an overtaking spot. It's a long way back in this Mould, but he goes for it. He absolutely goes for it. A little bit under brake, he gets squirrely, never going to make it happen. Fraser comes in as Mould uses the entire track to recover and cops around the outside as they go 3 wide. But Fraser had the run. What a bit of driving over the line, and almost worked out for Cups at the end there. That was pretty special. Final lap racing from them all. Top driving, top racing from everybody. That's exactly what you want to see. Absolutely what you need to see and what you want to see as well. So, the Gremlins have given us the results of the feature race. Just wait for them to load up. And there's your race winner there. It's Kim Andre Bjorklund, out in front by 6 seconds. So taking advantage of the reverse pole position there, pretty much. So he was in. There's 4 places back. Euro Larkin, what a night. Really enjoyed those races. So many drivers at similar pace. Absolutely, and that's exactly what makes this league so special. Euro, lots of drivers on similar pace, similar kind of styles as well, which make it really hard to overtake, which means people need to dig into their toolbox and make it work in their favour. John Brown in second place as we go with our results. Daniel Lewis in third. Sidney Hards in fourth. Scott Malcolm in fifth. Great performance there from him. Fraser Geraghty in sixth, taking a massive leap at the end of that race over Fraser Geraghty. Dan Mould in seventh. Rock Copser in eighth. Craig Walters in ninth. And Ryan Stringer in your 10th place there. We move down to Mayan Kodeman. It takes 11th for Euro Larkin in 12th. Demi Tichela in 13th. Zachary Sorchuk in 14th, with 15th Chris Barnes, 16th Jeff Saunders, 17th Fiona Siddons, and 18th Daniel Downing with his mysterious final lap there. Vigard, so Julian Marley in 19th, Vigard Leah and Carl Hardy 20th and 21st, Dick Crowther 22nd, with Nahul Ice Peru in 23rd, Stu Gibbons in 24th, Augustus Sablinskis in 25th, and Edo Kupsa, who did take the start of the final race there, along with Craig Charles in 26th place. So, I think we can all say that was a pretty sterling bit of driving and overtaking for everybody, and good, hard racing. Certainly a lot going on, a lot of intense racing, as we see what was going on. Don't think anyone else is jumping around, which is good. So basically just to react to what is coming up over the next couple of weeks on the SRLTV YouTube channel and in the SRL TCR League. So this is the first of 3 preview races for the Season 9 of the TCR League. Season 8 only finished last week. You can catch that broadcast from last night on the SRLTV channel. But the first of the pre-season races we've now done, which is the Oulton Park layout, we've just watched and enjoyed. Next week we go to Silverstone, the historical Grand Prix layout, which is the fast one. That is for the pre-season race 2. So similar kind of format, same format as tonight. So again, another one of those tracks. Yes, it's a paid for track, but it's a cheap one. And if you haven't got a track, why not? So get yourself on there with the third pre-season race of Oulton Park Grand Prix. That's the free one to get everyone whetting their appetite. The season proper starts on the 10th of October at Road Atlanta, and then 10 rounds of the entire season, taking in all corners of the world for the season, which is due to finish on the 12th of December. Who will have the early Christmas presents of the SRLTV TCR Championships across either any of the divisions? The only way to find out is by watching SRLTV and or taking part in the SRL TCR League, which is oversubscribed right now. And if we can get all the drivers turning up to every single race and enjoying the quality that we saw tonight, you can be sure to be part of the biggest and brightest league on a Friday night anywhere on iRacing. So, without much further ado, I will leave you all there with the end of the broadcast. And thank you all for watching. Thank you all for taking part. Thank you all for watching. whether it's some point down the road again, whether you watch live or watch catch up on YouTube, as I spit my words out eventually, because I've talked all night. My name's been Kev. I hope to see you all on track soon. Good night. Enjoy the racing. And we'll see you at Silverstone next week for the preview night 2 of the SRL TCR League Season 9. Good night.